Thank you for listening. Please share with anyone you think will benefit from this podcast.
Hello and welcome to Resilience in Life and Leadership. I am excited to have Donna Tashjian with me today, and we are going to have a great conversation. I love the wall behind you, so we'll be talking about that. But let's just meet Donna. Donna is the founder of Vibrant Living International, a nonprofit organization, and she also is a life mastery coach, an ordained minister, podcaster, and author. You are very busy, Donna. She helps bring accelerated transformation to people across the world. Her passion is to help you reach your full potential. She specializes in helping you turn your baggage into luggage so you can live the life of your dreams using and developing your spiritual intelligence. Donna has been speaking and coaching for over 25 years. She has developed powerful programs and workshops to help you through life's transitions and pain to achieve your goals or dreams. And she also produces a podcast that's called You Were Designed for Greatness and has written 4 books. So I am thrilled to be talking to Donna. Donna, welcome.
Thank you, Stephanie. It is always a pleasure.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. Yes.
So you gotta move a little bit away from your wall because I love that. That is just absolutely beautiful. I think that's great. And for those of you who are listening, it's Vibrant Living and it's just right there on your wall. Tell me a little bit about how you got started. Where did this all come from?
How far do you want me to go? Because there's
wherever you want to. This is all about you today.
Oh, it's all about me. Vibrant Living came out of a lifetime is really the story, the way that it all began. I was, how to say that exactly? At the age of 14, someone that I knew hurt me and I became pregnant. So I had a rough childhood. Yeah. I became an adult at 15, so to speak. So I was a mother. Yeah. Yes. So, and as I went forward, I was always the girl people would be saying, I can't believe I'm telling you this. And I would be helping them through whatever they were doing with the wisdom that I had at the age that I was. And it seemed to be an innate gift. And I now know it's a calling that God has given me to be able to help people know who they really are and not be defined by what's happened to us.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And so Vibrant Living started about 10 years ago itself, but there has been everything that I've been doing has had a component of coaching. We didn't call it coaching then.
Right.
Mentoring, discipling, speaking, helping people has been something that I've done all the while I raised my children. And, there was always stuff that was going on, but my kids were grown. It's like, what do you really want to do with your life? One of those moments. And so Vibrant Living was born out of actually a really low point. I felt anything but vibrant. I had lost a job. I wrote in my journal, this still embarrasses me that I did it, but I wrote in my journal, I feel like a piece of trash somebody's put at the curb and nobody wants. Have you ever felt like that?
Oh, wow. I certainly have. And I think sometimes people don't put it in such succinct wording, but that is pretty powerful.
Wow. And it's exactly, I'm like, I feel worthless. I feel like I don't have any contribution. Yeah. And we get caught up in rejection and things that have not gone the way we thought, and other people's opinion and all the kinds of things. We get caught up in that, and we get these labels that we put on ourselves, and it's not who we really were or never were.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now you had this trauma experience happen when you were young. How did you or did you how did you overcome that, or what was that timeline in getting through that trauma?
It was, as most trauma, it's a process, and learning and growing through it all. So to give you an idea, a mom at 15, I have a 3-year-old at 18. Wow. So just to give you, remembering the ages as far as I finished high school through what is now called homeschooling, but this is pre-internet, guys. This
Right,
is
right.
pre-internet.
Yeah.
So the tests were mailed to me. I mailed them back. They graded them. They mailed them back. That was the day. So I finished high school before I was 17.
Oh, wow.
And I was full-time employed before I was 18.
Yeah, you had to grow up extremely fast. Yeah.
It was I don't even know the adjectives.
Yeah.
I cried a lot. I was afraid. I didn't know if I could make it. But what the secret for me, that reason why I wasn't a statistic, because teenage pregnancies usually end up in poverty.
Yep.
And repeating behavior. And I came close
Mm-hmm.
to some of those kind of behaviors because I'm trying to find love in all the wrong places. Yes. So, but the key with me is at a very young age, I developed a relationship with God.
Mm.
And it was an event I recall. I was 12.
Wow.
So this is this occurring to me. And he was all I had. So, my mother hid me. And so through all of this process, so I'm a 15-year-old. You know how important friends are?
Yeah.
There was none. There was nobody. And there was no internet, no Facebook, no Instagram to talk with anybody.
Yeah, you're completely isolated.
Isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And all I had was God.
Wow.
And I learned how to develop that relationship. I have a foundation nobody can shake because of what I went through. Nothing. I've encountered other things and nothing can shake it. And I used God's promises like, you said your seed wouldn't beg for bread. So I'm going to be able to eat this week. I made $1 too much working full time to get assistance.
Wow.
$1 in the state that I was in. Now, if I'd have quit working, they would have given me everything, but that wasn't who I was. And so I began working full time, raising my daughter and going to college one night, or I took one class a semester, because that was all the load I could carry. I was doing all of that at 19.
Now, did you have the support from your family as well, or were they just?
I lived with my parents until I began to work full time at 18, and I lived with my parents. So I had a place to live and I had all the food I needed.
Right.
And all of that. But my mother began to, because I started babysitting, it was all I could do, and going to school and taking care of a baby and all of that. And my mother would give me bills for anything. She had to start paying rent at that age.
Right.
So, and that made me really angry for a long time.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
But it made me angry for a lot of reasons that I won't get into today. But what it did was force me to grow up quickly and rely on myself. And so I'm going to look at it from that. I wouldn't have done it the same way, but that doesn't matter. So it took a little while. I had a lot of frustrations and everything with the way things were done, but they did the best they could. And, I make it sound so simple, but it was a process.
Yeah. It's kind of a catch-22. And as a parent, I think when you look back at some of the things that you would have changed in your own, not only your own parenting, but your own rearing as a child, I think it's so challenging because there's parents who will give their kids everything and do it for them. And that is a disaster. Yes. And then it is truly a catch-22, which is why having a relationship with God is so helpful, because, having the Holy Spirit say, okay, let's do it this way is so much easier. Yeah. Wow.
So, the whole thing was interesting in that, but nevertheless, from all of that, embarrassment, shame, low self-esteem, wondering what my value is, wondering if I matter.
Right.
And then this happens 10 years ago, and I'm back feeling like I don't matter anymore, like I don't have any gifts. And then because I know better, I'm not the child anymore. And then I'm mad at myself that I'm feeling this way.
Yeah. Why do you think you were feeling that way? That you didn't have any gifts, that you had nothing to give?
I don't know that I didn't think I had any gifts, but I didn't think that I was valued. That would be a better word.
Right.
That I didn't think that who I was valued.
Mhm.
And I had begun to work at a nonprofit organization that I thought was going to be meeting that need I had inside to make a difference and help people.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. I worked there for a while, but I had put all of my hopes and all of my dreams
Right.
and all of that, all of who I thought I was, this is going to be it. And so I say
anytime you have that expectation,
it doesn't work. It's hard.
Yeah.
And so I remember the day, I remember the weather, I remember the time, I remember all of those things. And I often say it was March 31st. So we're coming up on an anniversary here. And it was doing that sleety side rain, and it matched my face as I left the place at 11:31 in the afternoon. And I say that today, that was one of the worst and best day of my life, because I was limiting myself of what God could do through me through that other nonprofit.
Right.
And what I'm doing today far surpasses what I would ever been able to do there, reaching people across the world. I have conversations around the world every day, every week. Yesterday I was in England. The day before I was in Zimbabwe. You know, it's like, okay, I'm asking, I need to get my map out because I don't remember where these places are.
Literally or virtually?
Virtually.
Okay. Like, wow, you are a traveling woman.
No.
That's amazing. Yeah.
No, and it's because of the way things have changed virtually that we're able to reach people. I never pictured when this started 10 years ago that this would be happening, because it wasn't happening like this.
Wow.
And so we limit ourselves on what we're capable of what things can happen because of, and I was doing it.
Yeah.
Even though I had some training and knew things, we still easily put labels on ourselves, which is where turning our baggage into luggage, which was a God idea.
I love that.
It was a God idea. I give credit where credit is due, but I listened. And be able to be who God created us to be, to live to our fullest potential and have a blast doing it.
Yes.
And that's what Vibrant Living is about. Let me tell you a quick little story how the name came.
Yes.
That's coming up in my heart. I was going through feeling down, going to church, trying to figure out, seeking God, praying, journaling, all of the things that we do when we're healing. And we had a night where we were supposed to give words of encouragement to people next to us. And just listen to your heart and see what God speaks to you and give somebody a word of encouragement. It was one of those kind of nights. And so the person next to me was a friend of mine, and she turns to me and she goes, "This is an unusual word that I'm hearing." She goes, "But it's vivacious." And I looked at her with this strange, and I'm like, I don't even know if I know what that means. Does it mean sexy? I'm like, I don't even know.
I love that.
And so I'm like,
it's all interpretation, right?
I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, I don't like sexy, because you think about our upbringing. We don't like what happened to me. I don't like that word.
Right.
And so I don't know what my face looked like, but she's like, "I'm sorry, that's just what I heard," you know? And I'm like, well, so I went home and looked it up, and it means vibrant. It means living. It means joyful, bubbly, sunny, full of life is basically what it means. And so when I began to figure out what to name the ministry, I'm like, vivacious, nobody will know what that means.
Yeah.
I'm like, that'll be so vibrant came from the word I got that I didn't understand. And things happen, and where things happen to us and things are going on that we don't understand, but it leads us on the journey when we're in the right mindset and seeking God to be able to be what I'm doing today. And I have moments where I'm like, how are you doing this? How is this happening? And because every week I'm in coaching groups with women, one-on-one with women, podcast interviews like this, and we're both in other states. We would have never met.
Exactly.
But our hearts are knitted. We can already tell. It's like, we have this in common.
That's
so anyway,
great.
I've done a lot of talking. Any questions?
I love that. So tell me about vibrant living and what that looks like. I know it looks different every day, but what does your ministry do? What does it look like? How is it helping women?
The turn your baggage into luggage is one of my signature transformational programs that I have designed, that God has given me to be able to help women to move quickly through the traumatic things that have happened to us or large disappointments. Pain is relative.
Right.
I can't compare mine to yours and yours to mine.
Trauma is trauma.
So helping them do that. And I do that in group coaching and one-on-one coaching as well. And that is a program that lasts for 6 months. And people walk out and I can't believe it. It's like the transformation that is occurring. So
6 months at a weekly meetings, or?
We meet bi-weekly.
Okay. Wow.
We meet bi-weekly. So there are things to do on the weeks we don't meet in person. There's activities and things that are involved, but the moving from baggage thinking to luggage thinking, and I can explain that if you want. I don't know how much time we have, because I
would love that. Yes. No, I would love that. I want to hear it all. Yep.
So baggage thinking is, if you think about what happened to me and whatever happened in your life and other people listening, is baggage thinking is, this isn't right. This isn't fair. This isn't just, this is wrong. Somebody needs to pay. And all of that, anger, frustration, shame, embarrassment,
right,
toward ourselves, toward others, all of that, that's baggage.
Yeah.
And it's super hard to let that go sometimes, but that's the baggage, and we can stuff it down. We can pretend we're okay. I have okay Band-Aids, binging on Netflix, eating ice cream, potato chips,
I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry. I have no idea.
We have okay Band-Aids that we do all the time because we're survivors. We had to be okay to move on, didn't we?
Yep. Absolutely.
But that means that I stuffed it and I never really dealt with it. And I've still got that stuff that things will trigger.
Yeah.
So luggage thinking, in my analogy of this, luggage thinking is, this happened to me. I can't change it, but I'm going to use it to become better and stronger, and in turn, for me, help others.
Yes.
That's luggage thinking. And to get from one to the other, I have 4 steps. I have steps for everything, because
steps are good. Yeah, steps are good.
Number 1 is, I call it searching for the gift. What can you learn? What is the gift that can come out of that situation? And I call those gifts wrapped in sandpaper.
Yeah.
They're not pretty.
They're not gifts we would want,
right? Initially. They're not. Yeah. I would never have chosen to lose that job, for example.
Right.
But it was a huge gift. That day you would have not been able to convince me that. I felt so lost. So search for the gift is number 1. Number 2 is keep a bigger picture in mind. So if your life is a book, don't let that be your whole book.
Yes.
Let it be a page, a paragraph, maybe a chapter, but not your whole book. And realize that it isn't forever, that there is a better future.
Right.
And that I lift my eyes up from my feet and look up and say, I'm going to look down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the people used the scripture, walking through the valley of the shadow of death in Psalms 23. Well, most of us don't walk through, we camp.
We sure do. Yep.
We pitch a tent, we build a house, we have a campfire, we're staying there, and
Yeah.
we're just
Yep.
camping out when we're supposed to walk through it,
Yeah.
not camp. And so
Right.
number 2 was to keep a bigger picture.
Mhm.
Number 3 is a big one. I could do a whole episode on compassion and forgiveness.
Oh yeah, that's a huge one. Huge.
And so I do a whole workshop on what forgiveness is,
Mhm.
what
What it's
forgiveness
not.
is, what's not, and
Yep.
how to do it, because
Yes.
it's not something we're taught,
Mhm.
especially if we had some type of trauma. Just flippantly go, just forgive is like, just
Yeah.
believe.
Right.
How do you do that? And
Right.
so I really help people with that, but forgive yourself and forgive others. You've not walked in their shoes. You don't know what they were doing or thinking. So
And
that's number 3.
forgiveness is not really for them. It's
That's
for
right.
us. It's for us. And it lets go of that, the amount of pain and anger that we're holding on towards somebody else is really, I mean, talk about baggage. I mean, that is just a burden to carry. Yeah.
Unforgiveness is like drinking poison
Yep. And
and
expecting the
hoping
other
the other
person
person to die. or to
I'm
get sick.
a 12-step girl. Yes,
Yep.
that's a good one. That's right. Yes.
But how to do it is a big thing. So, if you're listening and you want some more support in that, I would be happy to help.
Good.
Number four is get support.
Yes.
It's get support, get help. We have this, one of the things trauma does is it causes us to isolate.
Yeah.
We hide, we wear masks, I'm okay. If you ask anybody, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not really.
Right.
And so
right.
find some place that's safe for you to really be you,
Right.
where you are on your journey.
Mm.
And one of the things that I offer is a complimentary consultation to help figure out where you are, where you want to go, and what would be the best resources for you.
Yeah.
So that is something that is available as well. And so that's my 4 steps, rather simplified, but man, if you just do those, it doesn't matter the adversity in our life.
Yeah.
You can overcome anything.
It's moving that needle forward. And I think that is a really important piece of the puzzle, because when you said we tend to isolate, I think about, you made the comment, my mom hid me. So you were taught to isolate. I mean, that was when something shameful happens,
yes,
we hide. And instead of recognizing there was no shame to you with what happened, it wasn't your fault, and recognizing that even if we do something, I always say God can turn even our mistakes into blessings. So even if we do something that is a mistake or is our fault, there is so much grace that comes out of that, and we don't have to live in that. That's huge. Yeah.
yes.
Wow. So how do people find you, Donna, if they want to receive coaching from you, hear you speak, whatever it is? How do they reach out to you?
My website is the best resource for that. And the web address is the letter I and then vibrantliving.com.
That's awesome. That is great. And I'll make sure to put all of your socials and things like that in the notes. So what would you tell somebody who is just really, really struggling to move past, whether it be their trauma or whether it be, sometimes we get to this place where it's like, I am just very comfortable isolating. This is where I want to be. It's warm here. It's, this is where I feel safe. What would you tell people like that?
Even though you feel safe, there's a part of you that knows there's more.
That's good.
And if you could do one thing, what would the one thing be to take a baby step forward? What would be one thing? Because there's something calling you that that yes, you've taken time for isolation and healing perhaps, but there's more for you. And so don't let people's labels or limitations or what's happened to you be the definition of who you are and what your life is like.
Yeah.
When you get to the end of your life, what do you want people to say about you? How do you want to be known? And what could you do to take one baby step? Perhaps it's to get on my website and schedule a free call. Perhaps it's to talk to somebody that you know in your area.
Right.
Whatever it is, remember that you are cherished and loved more than you can ever imagine. And don't limit yourself. What is one thing you could do today?
I love that. That is good. Now, this may seem off topic question a little bit, but you made the comment that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you started the ministry after your kids were grown and things like that. Yes. So one of the things that I've noticed in women particularly, and especially today, is that there's this mindset, and I've been there. So I'm speaking from experience, but I can't do that. I'm too old, or I'm not, gosh, it's past my time. I should have done that in my early 20s or whatever it may be. What would you say to women that are in that mindset of, I can't, it's too late for me? Not that I've ever been there personally, just asking for a friend, right?
You're asking for a friend. No, I love that. I was in my late 40s when that occurred, and I remember feeling that way at all. So I'm in my 50s now.
As am I.
And I hear that a lot. It's just our limiting thoughts showing up. And the truth is whether you think you can, or whether you think you can't. And the only thing that's really stopping you is your thoughts.
Yeah.
Our only problem is between our ears, really, is because whatever and so if you're having trouble believing, find someone who can help you believe. We don't have to do this alone. You don't have to figure it all out.
Right.
Find someone. I have been an entrepreneur and had my own business for 25 years. This is not the first one. We have other ones going on. So
right.
this is not my first thing. And so but I've also, I jokingly say that I have a PhD on how not to do things.
Yes.
And so learn from people. Learn from people. That's why you're listening to this podcast, is because you want to learn and grow and gain more wisdom. And so just understand that whether we think we can. So one of the ways I love to have my clients is say, I can, I just don't know how yet. And that shifts, you begin to see things differently than I can't.
Yep.
So I can, I just don't know how.
Yeah.
Is a great phrase, and begin to ask God, ask your intuition, ask inside that quiet voice. So what is one step I could take? I don't know how, but what is one thing I could do? That's what I would say to that.
I love that. That's really good. That's really good. Because usually it is one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. All right. Final question. What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience is an inner fortitude to overcome things that come our way. It is a quiet strength. To me, and another word that comes to mind is meek, because meek is strength under control. It's not necessarily boisterous. It's not out there. And every one of us are stronger than we think, but we do come to the end of our strength. And that's where God came in for me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scriptures is, I can do all things through Christ who infuses me with strength. And if you think about infusing, they become one. Think about, I'm a tea drinker. You put tea in water and it infuses it. and the tea and the water are now one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that image for me. So learning that that's what resilience means to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I love that. I love that. Well, I have really enjoyed talking to you. You've got amazing things that you're doing and clearly making a difference in people's lives. And I think that when you can use your own trauma and use your own experiences to really benefit somebody else, that's what it's all about. So, gosh, thank you, Donna, so much for being a part of this podcast. And yeah, vibrant living. I love that. And I think that if we can all achieve that on a daily basis, that is everything. And so I will make sure all of your information is in the notes of the podcast. And thank you. I just really appreciate you being a part of the day.
My pleasure, Stephanie.
All right. And thank you for listening to Resilience in Life and Leadership. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. Please share with anyone you think will benefit from this podcast.